Today's task partner, in addition to be a strategic partner of BEST that has been collaborating for the past 5 years in a row for EBEC final, is a reality that each student's engineer and future scientist of Europe has to deal with. So without further ado, I will have the pleasure to present to you the representatives of EPO, European Patent Office, Therese Scholvnik from Netherlands. She is a director at European Patent Office, and Xavier Revela from Spain. He is a patent examiner, and they will explain to you today's peculiar and very essential task. Thank you. Please welcome on stage.
Thank you. Can you hear me if I speak normally, like this? Then.
It's needed for the live streaming.
It's needed for the live stream. I have a hand. I don't have enough hands. Can you hear me now, or do I need to put it closer like this? Okay, so technology, I've one for the live stream. I've one for the next page, and I've one ancient culture paper things. Never on Sunday morning at 8:15 we were introduced as amazing people from companies. Nice. And I'm told that you are amazing engineers from all over Europe, or engineers to be. So let's see today how that goes. No, I do it in a modern way. I do something like this. No, it doesn't work. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. No, I passed. Yeah, it's a bit of control thing of what I can manage and control in the slides. So today you have a handout in your room, I understand, but not with you yet. So most of it that you see is in the handout. I'm going to leave the paper. For the case study of today, you have to know some things about patents, and we give you a very short introduction on that. You have to know about searching patents, and we give you a very small introduction in that, and you have to know about the case. Okay? So here it goes. The basic principles of the patent system. It's a deal, it's a contract between the public of Europe and between inventors. If you invent something and you want to protect this invention, you want to have the only right for this invention, you can go to a patent office and you can ask for a patent, and then the patent office says, okay, we get your application, and in 18 months from now, we're going to publish it. And why do we do that? That is because then other engineers, other scientists, they can use this information to develop further. We say that it's a waste to reinvent the wheel 1,000 times. With a lot of text, that is what I said. Now, it is by having a patent system, actually we drive innovation. It's because a number of scientists are not reinventing the wheel so many times, but you can devote your energy on inventing other things, on what we call circumventing or building on to those inventions. Now, when are patents granted? They're granted when they're new. That's obvious, eh? You don't get a patent for something that is already known. You get a patent when it is inventive. And there are lots of ways how we see that things are inventive, how we reason. That's a skill, and that's a skill that patent examiners get to learn. The last criterion of the 3 is industrial applicability, and that is so much as it has to be existing in real life. Most of you will know that a perpetuum mobile, does it exist in real life? Can it exist? It cannot, not in our today's world. Still, we have applicants that ask for a perpetuum mobile, and this is where we say, no, no, no. This is physically impossible. Okay? There are tiny, tiny pieces of chemistry that only exist a fraction of a second, and then it's not industrial applicable. So that's the 3rd one. These patents, they relate to a process or a product or an apparatus or a use. For all those things, you can get a patent, as long as it's new and inventive and industrial applicable. If you take out your phone, and this is an old version, it's an old photo actually, but if you take out your phone, you will see that there are maybe 2,000 patents in that phone. It doesn't really matter in which phone, because all those phones have an amount of patents or patent-based technology. On top of it, there is design patents on it. This is what we don't deliver at the European Patent Office, but it is a form of intellectual property. There are trademarks. This is an Apple iPhone. I have another phone, also with a trademark. You have a phone, also with a trademark. And last thing, you know about copyright. Copyright is in books, but it's also on software. It's on art and so on. And actually, it's on music. Actually, an iPhone or another phone, it actually contains a lot of copyright as well. So in the world of intellectual property, all these things are covered. The European Patent Office does one thing, and that is patents. And patents is about technology. And that's why we are here today and you are here today. Now, very short, something on the European Patent Office, but this you will hear tomorrow. As I understand, you go underground this night, so you may be less attentive tomorrow. We are the 2nd largest intergovernmental institution in Europe. We are not an EU institution. We do not belong to the European Union, because actually we have member countries like Norway and Switzerland and Turkey that are part of our organization and not of the EU. Very important, we are self-financing. We don't receive money from the EU, we don't receive money from governments. We receive money from applicants for patents and from patent holders, and with that we try to run the whole system. So there's no money from you guys in unless you ask for a patent. We have 5 locations. Xavier is a patent examiner in Munich, in the city of Munich. He comes from Spain himself. I am a director in The Hague. I come from the Netherlands. And there's a location in Berlin where we also have patent examiners. But by far, Munich and The Hague are the biggest. And Vienna, there's a tiny location, and the tiniest location is in Brussels. I think we are 5 people there. Maybe 10 now, but not so much more. We are recruiting engineers and scientists, and we will go into this tomorrow. What you need to know today is you need to have one of the 38 nationalities of our member states, and you need to be able to speak at least 2 of our 3 languages, English, French, German. And in the end, you need to speak and work in all 3. Now, we try to do a very good quality job, And for that, we need very high quality people. Again, this is for tomorrow.
Thank you, Therese. Good morning. And well, first of all, congratulations to have reached this final round of best competition. As Teresa said, I'm a patent examiner, and I'm going to explain you a bit more in detail what can you find in a patent, okay? Patents, until very recently, were all printed. And what I show you here is the cover page. I'm going to tell you the type of information you can get from a patent, because today, in the case study, you may probably use that information. So in the cover page, you will find the title of the invention with the name of the inventor, the applicant, the company. Here at the a bit lower in the middle of the page, you see the abstract, which is a summary of what the invention is, and is where many of the databases are searching when you are searching with keywords. Then many patent applications have drawings. Here there is one shown, the most representative perhaps, but you can scroll down or look the other pages where you will see probably more drawings. If you turn this page, the cover page, you will find a description. This is a detailed way on how the invention is made. And you will also find the claims. The claims is what protection is sought for. Is what delimits what is invented. By the way, if you have questions, raise your hand and we try to answer them on the spot. So as Therese said, patent is a sort of contract. There is an exchange of information between the inventor that gets a monopoly and the public that can get the information for free. You today as public or as users of the patent system will already be able to use the patent documents to find out what already exists. We don't want you to develop something from scratch. If you do it, perfect, fair enough. But perhaps if you have a look at the patent databases, you can start developing from a certain point and not starting to reinvent the wheel. In your future professional life, by looking at patent databases, you can keep track on what competitors are doing. Other competitors' companies or research institutes are also working in some aspects. They will probably file a patent for that. And by looking at these patent databases, you can monitor what the others are doing. Also, a very important point, the third bullet point here, is you have invested a lot of work, your team has developed an invention that looked great, and once you are in the market, when you have to start getting back some money, the revenues, you discover that you avoid that another patent is already protecting what you are selling. If you had had a look before, you would avoid infringing other people's property, other people's intellectual property, right? And the last, you can check out where an invention is patented and where it's not. Remember that a patent is a regional right. You can have a patent for a country, for more than one country, for a certain region in the world. Patent protection is a regional protection. So you can check out, you will see later on how to check out where the patents are protected. Okay. All patent documents are accessible and are for free. Okay? For that, you can visit our website, www.epo.org, and I will point out two of the main areas of this website. One is Patent Translate. You have automatic translation between English and 31 other languages, including Asian languages, which is quite useful for the majority of us. Another important area is SBasnet. This is our own patent database with many, many documents, 100 million patent documents. I have to say that we have a video that we will run later on this patent database, and this video says another figure. This is the most updated figure. We have 100 million patent documents. Can you imagine how many documents we have there? And the best, we don't have 100 million documents like in a bucket. We have them in a way that we can find them back easily. This database, it's called SBasnet, we pronounce it SBasnet, is one of the areas that is most visited in our web page. We receive 20 million visits every year. The collection of patent data is not only European patent data that we have worldwide collection of documents, and it's accessible for beginners and experts. You will see that today, with the few tips that we are going to give you, you will already start to get some results. I already mentioned that there is an automatic translation system. Okay, and then I will pass the word to my colleague Therese that will explain you the case study of today.
So this is your case for today. You are, with your team, a startup, an interdisciplinary team of startups. That means that you can use your brains and your knowledge from not only engineering, but also from marketing, from presentation, from electronics, from mechanics, from chemistry, from whatever, maybe some medical knowledge. I'm going to stand up here because it makes it easier to point. That's the key one. What we like you to do today is that you develop a way for somebody who's blind or visually impaired. That is the official name of somebody who cannot see or can only see 10%. And that person has to go from A to B. We leave it up to you whether A is their own home and B is the home of a friend or the faculty here, or whether they go from the faculty to their house. Or if you want to make it more difficult, from the faculty to the party tonight, if you would know where it is. The thing is that trips should be safe. It should be balancing cost and travel time. It cannot be that if you're blind, you have to travel 6 hours, whereas if most of you, although having glasses, you are okay with the sight, and you would only take 1 hour, okay? So a blind person or a visually impaired person should have more or less the same travel time. Sure, on the street it will take maybe a little bit longer because they cannot see what happens. Now the trick is there are many existing solutions for partial problems of this big problem. And you will find those in SBasnet. And we recommend that you spend around 1 hour of today searching in SBasnet. That's not 1 man hour, but 1 team hour. You can devote and see how you will use that. Maybe there's only 1 person searching for a longer period. Maybe you all search at the same time. Up to you. But this is about the time that you would need to find documents, if you're not that experienced, but you are a clever person, that you can find things that can help you in this, what we call holistic approach. So it's not only we want you to develop a single solution, no, we want you to come up with a solution from A to B. There's another thing. If you found solutions and you thought that's a clever solution, can you use these in part of your concept? Maybe this is free information to use and nobody has a patent on it. And it does exist, because of those 100 million documents that you find, 90 million are free to use. They are gratuit, technique, gratis, free, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to pay anything for it. That's a good thing about what you find in technology there. It may be that it's protected. Then you have to weigh, do we want to invent something ourselves, or do we want to buy this technology? Do we want to license it? Do we want to make that owner of the technology a partner in our startup, in our team? All things that we want you to cover. And the last bit is their freedom to operate. And Xavier will explain more with the last slide, what does freedom to operate mean? This morning you get a very short course in how to use IP. Okay, so the case study, some aspects traveling from A to B. As any person in Brno, for instance, you have to find out how to travel from A to B. This is not your home country. How do you do that? So we nowadays, either we take the organization's map and we pull it up our sleeves, or we take the bus and we go to the underground tonight. But basically what we do nowadays, we take our smartphone, we download an app and we see, okay, this is how we go there. If you're blind, you cannot read the app. So you have to find another way to find this. You might think about braille books that you get somewhere, but this is really old-fashioned. Who knows what braille is? Good, okay, so you're still connected to the old world. Also, you need to be able to pay for the trip. Yeah, that's technology that we know, but how do we do this? How do people, blind people, find how to pay, what to pay for, how much, and so on? You need to define how to find the right transportation means, because often there are several ways to get from A to B. If you go in public transport, how do you prevent that your blind friend sits on somebody else's place? Sorry, sits on somebody else. Yeah? Imagine you come in and you think, and you sit and say, oh, sorry, Elena, I sit on your lap now. So think about ways how to find out whether you can sit on that place without sitting on somebody else. Yeah? How do you know where to exit? In trams, you often hear this. In metros, you often hear this. But maybe it should come earlier or sooner, or people should get a warning or whatever. Because as a non-blind person, what do? You look that somewhere in public transport, you will see the different stages. Again, they will not see this because they don't have sight. Now, think about aids that can help you. A guiding dog might be an upgraded guiding dog, might be a living guiding dog, it might be a non-living guiding dog, who knows? A walking stick, this very old-fashioned white stick with the red banners, that one can contain more than only wood, no? sensors in apparel, in clothing. In your t-shirt, you have something. In your whatever, you have something. Maybe a cap, maybe think about things. Not only clothing, but also equipment. What can sensors do? Smartphone apps, obvious, but they should be apps for blind people. That's an important one. That's what we want to see from you today as well. Okay, so far, any questions? No? Yes?
Are we somehow limited with budget and money?
We covered it with balance cost and travel time. It's a very good question. As a team, as a startup, you will be working for a conglomerate of municipalities in, let's say, Czechia. So they together define that they find it a very, very good cause if every person, including blind people, can travel from their home to a friend. Yeah? So that means that it should not necessarily be cost covering, but it should balance cost and travel time. Okay? So if you say, well, we have a taxi driving up and down and that's it, that's not a sustainable way of transporting people. Thank you for the question. It was a very good one. Other questions? No? Now, next, the presentation. The presentation should last around 8 minutes, Walid? 8 minutes for the presentation, and then another 3 minutes for questions and answers from the jury side. My recommendation is, if it's 8 minutes, you plan for 6 minutes. Now, what we want to see is the following. What is your concept proposal for the full trip? Which technical solutions did you find on SBasnet? And how did you use them in your proposal? And what is new? So we want to know the full concept. You tell us, this is what we found on SBasnet and what we're going to use. And this was a free thing to use, and this we would need to pay money, and and this is what we invented newly. Okay? The total concept, how does it differ from what already exists? And again, what already exists, you may know something, but there's a lot in SBasnet that you can find. Why is it advantage? Why would people take this form of transport? Why would the combination of cities in I'm from an old Europe. Why would the Czech government and the combination of Czech cities choose for your proposal? Why is it good? We want to know that. And how can you earn money with it? The last thing, do not forget to prepare a pitch. Who knows what a pitch is? In the green t-shirt, can you explain? Yeah, and how long does it take? 8 minutes and 3 questions. That's a full presentation.
Well, the pitch is maximum 1 minute.
Yeah, it is what they say. A pitch is what they say. An elevator pitch is as long as an elevator takes from the ground floor to the 20th or so. You meet somebody in the elevator and they say, okay, what did you invent today? And you go, So this is where the stays away, and you have a short 4 or 5 sentences with which you explain what you invented. 1 minute is a good one. Depends how fast the elevator goes. So the criteria, important. The suitability of your combined solutions. The safe trip, the balancing cost and time, is 40% of the total amount of points that you get. It is about solving technical problems and finding technical solutions. So point out the problem, say what your solution is. That's life of an engineer in short, actually. Then, your results of the search, use of information on prior inventions through SBasnet, 20%. 1/5 of your points come from the searching, the finding, and showing us what you found. And we will be walking around, see how you do that as well. Yeah? You can ask us questions if you want when we walk around. We will be available because we want you to make the best out of that part. There is the freedom to operate / patented matters of others. That one is 10%, and that, I think, is new for most of you. Again, Xavier will explain, and we will come by and explain again if needed. It essentially says, can I use this invention for free or not? If not, what do I do? That is called freedom to operate, and it's a very, very known piece of sentence that you will more and more come by in your life as an engineer. So the total of SBasnet and freedom to operate is 30% of the points. It's quite a lot. Your business model, 10%. So how do you go by having a viable, as we call, a sustainable way of operating? And the last one, 20% on the delivery of your presentation.
Thank you. Okay, one last slide, and then we set you free, and you can start. But before I switch to the next slide, whenever you need to search for something, what's the first thing you do? Who said Google? Good. And once in Google, which sort of, what do you use once you are in Google? You type google.com or google. So Scholar, but Scholar is one option. I heard another, say again? Keywords? Yeah, I heard it right, keywords? Okay. Can you, out of your mind, get some keywords for your case study? For example, blind here. Some other? Support, help. Yeah, right. Here is a slide where I'm going to give you some hints on how to work with SBasnet, right? On the first hyphen, we have keywords: blind, visual, impaired, challenge, handicap, glasses. And you can use, of course, many synonyms, other words. If you are creative, you will have other aspects that you want to search. And you will use these keywords, not in Google, but in SBasnet, in our database. Of course, you can also use other languages, synonyms, you name it. Second hyphen here, classification. we have many millions of documents, and I said you can find them back quite easily. Like in your room, if you don't tidy, you cannot find things back. Like in a library, you go to a library, isn't it, sometime? Have you ever been to a library? Because I ask, because these generations, you never know. In the library, books are classified. Here the word classification. And they are classified alphabetically, by title, by author name, or by subject. Chemistry, biology, engineering, telecom. So this database, SBasnet, is classified according to IPC and CPC. You never heard about this, probably. IPC is the International Patent Classification, and CPC is the Cooperative Patent Classification. These are codes. I've brought some examples here. These codes here have a meaning. And these classifications are made of codes. If I can make also a similarity with your computer, you have your hard disk, and then many folders. And these folders are like in a tree shape. You have images. In images, you have the best events, EBEC events, but also holidays. And inside holidays, you have summer holidays, and winter holidays, and other holidays. So these classification schemes, IPC or CPC, they are all organized in a sort of hierarchy. The CPC, the Cooperative Patent Classification, is based on the EPC. It's only more refined. It has more deep indexing. You can go more into detail if you use CPC. I don't have it in mind, but for example, the first code, A61G3, relates, for example, to transportation adapted to disabled people. B60N2/245 is, or relates to seats adapted to handicapped. A61H3, for example, I'm just saying some examples of classification, relates to stairways, ramps, and other devices adapted to help patients. And it has, okay, the first letter is like the head group. Then there is some number, which is one division of this head group. Another letter, which is a subdivision of the previous group, and so on, so on. Then there comes a slash and even more subdivisions. Classification can help you. Why? Because perhaps you don't have all the synonyms for seats, for the word seat. But if you find a classification that relates to the technical aspect that you are searching, you are sure that the examiners all around the world have classified all the patent documents with that code. No matter if it's a Russian examiner, Chinese examiner, European examiner, they would have used that code, the IPC. Perhaps I forgot to mention the Cooperative Patent Classification is a classification developed together between the US Patent Office and the EPO, the European Patent Office. I forgot to mention that. I think it's important because it's a quite recent classification scheme, but it's supported by these two big offices, and also some other offices, like the Chinese, are also using this classification scheme. Perhaps it's good that we have a look now to a short video tutorial, around 3 minutes, and you see a bit more of the SBasnet.
Hello, you've come to SBasnet, the world's leading free-to-use patent database, a database containing millions of patents. But SBasnet is more than a patent database. It's a world full of inventors, their inspirations, their ideas, and their inventions. And you can explore it through SBasnet. Welcome to their world. You can read about inventions on a web page or in the original format. If you find a patent in a language you can't understand, you can translate it into a language you can. You can download an unlimited number of documents for your own personal use, and if you find a seam of interesting inventions, you can share them with anyone you like, anywhere in the world. To help you to use SBasnet, we provide handy help files and FAQs. And if you need friendly personal advice, we have a help desk you can contact. SBasnet is suitable for both beginners and more expert users. Its smart search options allow you to write free-form queries. And if you're more experienced, you can formulate command-line searches backed by CQL, the tried and trusted common query language. The advanced search screen offers what we call a guided search, because you can see exactly what kind of search term to put into each search field. Certain types of field, text fields or name fields, for example, are grouped together to make it easy to use. If you're a more experienced user, you can fast-track your search by finding the category or classification which groups similar inventions together. There are millions of inventions grouped in thousands of classifications, some of which are bound to be right for you. SBasnet can keep you informed about your favourite inventors and inventions, and it can even tell you if it's going to be offline. All you have to do is set up the RSS feeds. SBasnet is available 24/7, free of charge. It covers nearly 80 million patents worldwide and offers many unique features for explorers in the world of inventors and inventions. It's backed up by a complete user support package. Everywhere you look in SBasnet, there are help files, help indexes, and online interactive tutorials. Most importantly, there's a help desk, staffed by friendly and enthusiastic experts. SBasnet, probably the best free patent database in the world. Explore the world of inventors, inventions, and patents with SBasnet.
Before the video, there was some question.
Hello,
Is the
you've
question
come
still
to
there?
SBasnet, the world's leading free-to-use.
If there exists the manual for using this classification system, because I don't really know all these figures and letters. If there is a manual.
You are asking if there is a manual. I'm answering probably you won't need it. There is a manual, and each classification code has a definition, but probably you won't need it. What you will need, and you have seen it this in the video, you can see the video several times in YouTube, there is a way to search within the classification. So using a keyword, they will, the machine will give you results on which classifications have that keyword, for example. So you can search in the classification before starting the big search. Does this answer your question? Right. Another one?
So it was mentioned that the advanced search system includes using SQL, right? The advanced SQL language.
Yeah?
It's very good for us because we know how to use it.
Right. So you answer yourself.
No, I just want to know if it's true or not.
I understood that, but I'm not an expert on computer things. Okay, I'm not finished. Just in case, I forgot to mention something about this classification. Before that, I asked who was in a library. If nobody had raised their hands, I would say, imagine this code again as in a blog or in Instagram, where you tag with you label, you give labels. So every patent examiner is giving these codes, giving these labels or tags, so that people can find it back. Okay? It was just something that I forgot regarding the classification. And we go now to the last bullet point of the slide, freedom to operate. You will have to, in order to get the maximum number of points by the jury, you will have to do a sort of summarized freedom to operate report. What does it mean? At a certain point, you will need investment when you are developing something. Investors like risk, but they also like a certain amount of certainty. When you present your invention, they want to know that your invention does not belong to someone else, that it belongs to you. And there's where you do your freedom to operate report. Amongst other things, you will have to check if the patent is, the patents that are surrounding your invention, not your invention, but surrounding your invention, are really patented. You will have to check in SBasnet if those patents that you show are really patented by looking at the publication. If the patents are public, they may not harm you because you can check in the SBasnet and in a link to SBasnet for which countries these patents are valid. If you want to sell your business in the Czech Republic and the patents around you are all American, you can go on. You have freedom to operate. But still, if the patent's name, if the patent has as country code, this patent is also valid in the Czech Republic, then you have to check, okay, what is exactly protecting that patent? And for that, you will have to check the claims. We mentioned it before. The claims define the scope of protection. And once you have analyzed all that, then if it's covering your invention, maybe you can consider contacting that patent applicant and asking, okay, how much do you want so I can use your technology or part of your technology? And this is called a licensing agreement. Or perhaps you can come to an agreement with him. Look, I produce this, and I can let you copy this part of my invention. This could be also a sort of cross-licensing. Or perhaps you can say, okay, this patent is existing and is valid in the Czech Republic, but if we modify it that way, we go around the invention, and we can still have protection and freedom to operate. I'm afraid there is something else I forgot. Thank you, Therese, for pointing that out. This is right. And I think we have to offer ourselves, we will be, the whole day we will be around visiting each team, and you can also ask for further questions or clarifications. Don't hesitate. I see there are two more questions. Sorry, can you repeat? If it's a patent application, doesn't mean that it is granted. You can use that information. It could be that there is another patent covering the same, and that's why that patent didn't go through. But if that's the only thing you found, and it's only a patent application, and it has no patent, it can become a patent. You have to check. It can become a patent. Then you are in a dangerous area.
What you need to check is the patent application alive. Have they paid their yearly taxes, or have they just let it go? And that is something you can check in this register.
Does this answer your question? Yeah. There is another question there. Yeah. So from the time you file a patent till the time it is published, it's 18 months. During that 18 months, there is a certain period of uncertainty.
Right, so after some time, we cannot use this technology fully, like, on the freedom to operate, right?
I'm not sure I'm understanding your question.
We could decide to use the technology that is still in the that period of 18 months, right? And after they get in front of the patent,
Yeah, maybe now I understood. You cannot use that information because it's not public. It will not be in the database. Before 18 months, it's not public. So here we have to make a difference. When you apply for a patent, something happens, but today we are using information that has been made public. So these are two different items. When you apply for a patent, you apply it today, and this information, you are the only one that knows until 18 months where it will be made public. And some people can have a look at what you are doing. Okay? But this is for your invention, for your creation. When I told you about the Freedom to Operate report, we are looking to the patent system from the user, from the public side. You have not filed any patent. You are only using information that is publicly available. And this is only from patents that have been published. May not yet be granted, but they are public. One question up there, and then we go down. I didn't understand the question.
So the question is, what if we do not use any of the technology that we find in SBasnet? Or actually your question was, what if we don't use any patents? If you show, so part of the criteria is you need to show us what you found on SBasnet. So if you show in the presentation, this is what we found, this is what we found, and this is what we found, but we decided not to use it because we have a totally different solution, then you get also points in the SBasnet part. If you have the freedom to operate, will then be more difficult it will be very easy to find points in your freedom to operate because you did not use any of those patents. So you cannot show I circumvented this, that, and that. Actually, I didn't use it all. But we can actually try to find something that looks very similar to what you did. So beware that if you say this is totally new concept, that we are quite skilled in finding things. So if you think it's totally new, then we should check. Does that answer your question?
And there was another question here. Yeah, this is a conflicting patent application. There is a regulation, legal aspect. It's a bit complex to explain it here, but in principle, you will have to make some change so that your patent is novel. It's conflicting applications.
So for the case of today, you find a patent application that is still in the running to become a patent, maybe. Note this down in your publication. Say this is potential, what we are going to use, but the situation is insecure. This is what they want to get, and then point that out. We do not ask you to become patent specialist in a few hours, but the essence is you point it out in the presentation, and then we can judge what you did with it.
So if there are no more questions, are you ready? Yeah? Thank you. Thank you very much. We wish you success, and we will be around to answer your questions once you are in in the system, you will for sure have questions. We will try to guide you through. I pass the word to Valet, or you want to say? Yeah?
I have just to mention some technical information.
There's one thing we very much count on, and that is the fact that you have internet access. Yeah? If there are problems with that, signal it immediately to Walid, to Dobromir, and we will find a solution. We will see if it's a general problem, and we will make an arrangement so that you can continue working and even change the case if needed. Huh? So it is important that you're able to work on internet. That is essential.
Thank you, Teresa and Xavier. Well, as usual, we will also send a spreadsheet with the questions. So if anybody has questions, you may send them online. We will answer them so that everybody can access to those answers. And we will be, as usual, in the company room for the whole day. And also maybe we'll be walking around the rooms. So if you have any questions, feel free to come to our place, please. Okay, we will. I will send you the information with the new timetable for the presentations, and we will shift it by the time that we have passed in here. Anyway, we will take care of this. Well, by now you must have realized, since it's the last day, you must have realized that EBEC is not simply a competition in the classical term of the meaning of the term, but it's more a gathering of talented people from all over Europe who are internationally oriented and open-minded, that are willing to more than compete, to learn something new every day. And indeed, with today's case study, you will have the unique opportunity to learn about a very important tool, which is SBasnet, and develop a real-life case study, not only imaginary, but a real life for a significant fraction of the worldwide population, which has a huge social value. So that being said, I wish you luck, exploit your day to the fullest, and may SBasnet be ever in your favor. Thank you.